It's Sunday, November 17th, and this is Trillium Talk, a look inside the week that was in Ontario politics. I'm Scott Sexsmith, and back with us this week is the editor-in-chief at the Trillium, Jessica Smith-Cross. Welcome back to the show, Jess. Good to see you as always.
Hi, Scott. Always good to see you, too.
All right, let's start with housing and the province's goal of building 1.5 million homes by the end of 2031. The Premier has been like a dog on a bone with municipalities on this issue to hit those targets, but it seems the province is tracking to hit a record, but not a good one. What can you tell us?
Yeah, it's not looking good. We've seen a few signs that housing starts are way down, and there was another one last week. Housing starts were down last quarter by 17% from last year, and the province already wasn't on track to make that $1.5 million homes target. The province would need to have 34,000 or so homes to make that, and we haven't hit it. It's averaged about 22,000, and it's just not getting up where it needs to be. In order to do that, the province needs to build all sorts of different kinds of homes as well, and we're hearing that they're just not building the kind that families want to live in and families need.
Now, this creates a huge political issue for the Ford government, Jess. How so?
Well, it was a huge promise. When the last election campaign, this was one of the things that Doug Ford promised he would get done for people. And that's because it's something that a lot of people really care about. The number one complaint, especially from younger Ontarians, is that they can't afford a home. It impacts people in such a dramatic, real way. The cost of living is high, and one of the huge drivers of that is high mortgages for the few homes that there are, or high rents for people who can't afford to buy a home of their own.
All right, let's change gears if we can to another hot button topic, Toronto bike lanes. The Premier wants to rip them up along Bloor and Yonge Streets and University Avenue, and the cost estimates to do this are through the roof. What's the price tag and what's the reaction?
Yeah, this is one of those things that he'll say, and it sounds good to at least some people who agree with him. Let's rip up these bike lanes that are getting in the way of driving traffic congestion. But now the city's sort of responded, the city of Toronto, where he wants to rip up 3 major bike lanes, to say that whoa, this is a lot harder said than done. They said it'll cost $48 million to rip up the bike lanes. And more than that, they're saying it will also cause increased traffic congestions and delay during the whole process of having to do that. And that's the whole idea of getting them out in the first place. And the Premier and the Transportation Minister, their sort of rationale for this has been we're not against bike lanes. We just don't want them on major streets. We want them on side streets. And the city report that just came out is saying, there are no side street alternatives for this. Toronto's sort of built, we've got these major street thoroughfares and everything else where the houses are, they're just not so parallel, right? You can't build a bike lane there, or you can't do it without taking away a lane of traffic.
All right, so we've got $48 million to rip up what initially cost $27 million to put in. No question, that's a lot of money. Now, the squeaky bike wheel usually gets the grease, and in this case, the squeak seems to have come from a politically connected group of citizens who are behind this push to tear them up.
Yeah, that's true. There are citizens groups of all kinds who are after all different sorts of things, and these guys were just particularly successful. They seem to be getting what they want, whether it's because of who they are or just because they are aligned with the same thing the Premier wants, isn't certain. But this group called Balance on Bloor, one of our reporters was interested to look into them a bit, and he found one's a past PC candidate, a couple are PC donors. One's a restaurateur who's hosted the Premier and his brother back in the day, hosted victory parties for the local PC candidate, but he's also hosted politicians of other stripes as well. So again, we're not sure what about this group caused the Premier to listen. It could be that they're from his home turf and they agree with him on this issue, but they certainly got their concerns heard by the highest level of power in the province.
All right. For the most extensive coverage of Ontario politics anywhere, download and subscribe to Trillium Talk wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and log on and become a Trillium Insider today at thetrillium.ca. Editor-in-Chief at The Trillium, Jessica Smith-Cross. Good as always to see you, Jess. Thanks for this. Have a great week.
Thanks, you too, Scott.